We got number 11, Indiana, at Iowa, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Storyline to know, Indiana with another opportunity to make a statement in this game. Indiana was the Cinderella story of college football last year, making the college football playoff, finishing with an 11-2 record, the most wins by 2 in program history, one of the best seasons ever in school history too. Despite bringing back so much talent from that team, there's still plenty of people that were doubting them if they could repeat that success this year. They were the number 20 team in the preseason AP poll. Once again, Indiana proved it's a program to take seriously, though, because they absolutely destroyed number 9 Illinois this past weekend by a final score of 63-10. And the Hoosiers have another big game this week in their first road game of the season at Iowa, a team that's currently 3-1, and their only loss of the year was a 3-point loss to number 14 Iowa State.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is, I'm looking at Iowa's schedule here. I think for them, especially with already the loss to Iowa State on their schedule, I think if Iowa wants to be a dark horse playoff contender, they have to win this football game. They've got Indiana this week on the schedule. They've got Penn State. They've got Oregon, USC, Minnesota, Nebraska. So this is a tough schedule that Iowa's playing with. If they want to be considered like that and they want to get to maybe 10-2 possibly somehow and work their way into playoff contention, I think Iowa really has to win this game. And for Indiana, and Curt Cignetti said it himself, he's even said he thinks this is a tougher test than last week. Now, when you win a game 63-10, I'm sure you're trying to keep your team focused there and not get, too arrogant in their heads there. But this is a tough game. When you look at how good Iowa is in the trenches, the best offensive line in the country right now, their defensive line with Aaron Graves and those guys is really good. I take Cignetti at his word with that one. He knows the challenge that's coming, especially on the road, and as fundamentally sound as this Iowa team always is.
So you have the Indiana offense with a Heisman hopeful at quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. Right now is second in odds to win the Heisman Trophy this year. What should we know for them against what's always a great defense coached by Phil Parker?
Yeah, there's something that sticks out to me with Mendoza, and it's one of the things that I factored into, when we previewed Indiana preseason. I said this is one of 2 or 3 reasons Mendoza can be good in this offense. He's a really good intermediate passer, that 10 to 19 yard range. Indiana throws the ball a lot into the intermediate areas of the field. 93.6 intermediate passing grade, Max, third best in the country. 7 intermediate touchdowns, leading the nation. You know who led the nation in intermediate touchdowns last year?
Was it Curtis Rourke?
It was Curtis Rourke. I believe he was tied with Will Howard, but Will Howard played more games. It was Curtis Rourke. So, and the big thing, too, is decisiveness through that. 2.36 second average time to throw, 8th fastest in the country on these throws. The RPOs, the way they attack the seams, sometimes on these corner routes, Indiana does a great job of attacking, especially zone coverages in these intermediate areas of the field. I think that's huge against an Iowa team that runs a ton of zone coverage. They sit back. They don't really attack the football as much as they have in past years. I believe they only have 1 or 2 interceptions this year, but they sit back, they don't give up explosives, and they make tackles. I do think that's actually in Indiana's favor a little bit. They've had trouble in the past with they don't have blazing speed at receiver. They have good receivers, don't get me wrong. Omar Cooper, Elijah Surratt, right? But they don't have blazing speed, and they usually they struggle more with teams that can play elite man-to-man coverage. Iowa's not one of those teams. They play fundamentally sound zone coverage. They make tackles. They don't give up explosives. But I think Mendoza, with the decisive kind of workman-like nature of his passing and this offense, I think does have a chance, again, in that intermediate range to have success against this Iowa defense.
I agree with that. I'm looking at Iowa's offensive line.
As you should.
As against Indiana's defensive line. Listen, it is still really early to make any declarations for any college football awards this year. Iowa's offensive line right now is the runaway favorite for the Joe Moore Award, which you actually called out, Dalton, preseason. I'll give you credit for that. Look at this graphic right here. Trevor Lauk, highest graded left tackle in the country. Bo Stevens, highest graded left guard in the country. Logan Jones, highest graded center in the country. Cade Pieper, highest graded right guard in the country. Jennings Dunker, second highest graded right tackle in the country. Couldn't get the perfect
letting
sweep.
us down, Jennings.
Letting
us down.
Couldn't get the perfect sweep.
First in aura, though. No
first
question.
in aura, absolutely. The worst guy, theoretically, on that list is a top 10 prospect on the PFF big board right now, Jennings Dunker. He's the second highest graded right tackle in the country. Unfortunately, Duke's Brian Parker barely beat him out.
Good player, Brian Parker.
Really good player. Really good player. I've never seen that before. We have legitimately every single player at their position is either the highest graded or, in Jennings Dunker's case, the second highest graded at the country in his position. I mean, it is ridiculous how well this Iowa offensive line has played so far. And listen, they've played a softer schedule, but they also have played Iowa State too, who always has, I know they have a three-man front, but they've played good in run defense this year. Iowa State's no pushover either on the defensive line. Iowa right now has a 97.1 grade on offensive line. That's nearly 11 points higher than any other offensive line in the country. Iowa's offensive line in particular, highest pass blocking grade in the country at 94.1, highest run blocking grade in the country at 96.4. But they will be tested this week against a really good Indiana defensive line. They're currently 9th in the country in run defense grade this year at 92.5. They're 10th in the country in pass rush grade at 85.4. The Hoosiers are 21st in pressure rate at about 39%. They only gave up 49 rushing yards this past week against Illinois, a team that wants to run the football. And I know Illinois was down big early in that game too, so they wanted to pass the ball a lot more than they probably wanted to going into the game. But still, this is a great Indiana defensive line that got after Luke Altmaier a lot in that Illinois game. Mikael Kamara is an absolute superstar at edge defender, but Indiana is going up against the best offensive line in the country right now in Iowa.
Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting matchup, especially when you look at the individual matchups there that could decide this game. Indiana also they don't hardly blitz at all. They have one of the lowest blitz rates in the country. They send four. They've got Tyreek Tucker on the inside. You've got Mikael Kamara off the edge. You got a lot of guys playing well for Indiana in that front four. And even look, the linebackers are going to be Aiden Fisher, right? And I believe it's, Isaiah Jones back there is still back at linebacker. You're talking about a team that is going to be tested. They don't blitz a whole lot. They're not going to send extra pressure. Good offensive lines block at the first level. Great offensive lines block at the second level. So it's not just the D-line. It's these two linebackers as well. They're going to be under a lot of pressure, especially in the run game. And Tim Lester's outside zone scheme that he came in and put in last year, these guys are the masters of it now. It is unbelievably fun to watch them block up front in the run game especially. And then I think another X factor is Mark Gronowski and what he's added with his legs. Iowa's run for 10 touchdowns this year. He's got 6 of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you look at the quarterback run game and what that adds, look, Iowa's still not a great passing team, but they don't care. They'll run the football every play if it's working, and they've got 3 different threats with Jason Patterson, Xavier Williams, and Mark Gronowski. It's a problem. Indiana, Kurt Cignetti, again, I take him at his word that he says this is going to be a tougher test than last week. That offensive line is the biggest reason for that.
And Iowa, if they're going to have any success offensively, it's because of the offensive line. They don't have much at quarterback, receiver, running back right now to win with just that. They're going to want to win by beating you in the trenches. It's really their only way to win offensively is by beating you up in the trenches right now. So Indiana's defensive line, if they can win that battle, they could completely shut down this Iowa offense too. Ultimately, Dalton, who will win this game? Will Indiana have another statement win this week, or will Iowa pull off a huge upset?
Yeah, I still think this is going to be a kind of a more – now, I thought we were kind of getting this last week with Illinois, so you never know. But I do think this is going to be a physical Big Ten grinded out football game. I do think Indiana, being the two-dimensional team on offense, Iowa really can only run the football. They just have not shown much throwing the ball. Mendoza being as decisive as he is and throwing into those zone windows, I think is a big factor. And as long as Indiana can, look, you're going to give up something against an offensive line this good and a run game this good. You're going to give up something. But as long as they don't let Iowa take the game over on the ground and really control the pace of the whole game and keep the ball for 37, 38 minutes, I like Indiana in this game. They're just so well-rounded. And I think what they did to Illinois last week just sticks in your mind, man. Illinois is a good football team. Maybe they weren't the 9th best team in the country, but they're really darn good. I've got Indiana. This game will be tight for a while. I think Mendoza takes it over. Indiana 24-13.
I have it Indiana 27-14. It won't be as big of a beatdown as the Illinois game was, but I still think Indiana will win by multiple scores in this one thanks to a lights out performance from the Indiana defense. Like the Indiana defense will have a great performance in this game. Only let up a couple touchdowns from Iowa, and that's it. And Indiana's offense will do just enough to get by multiple scores in this game too. But another statement win probably coming for Curt Cignetti this Saturday.